what makes H3O2? I know you use Nafion in the lab, and now you're building a machine maybe that is not a filter, but it restructures the water. Um, and what other things have you experienced in your lab that make H3O2?
Okay, well, there's several. One of them is if you put an electrode in the water and you pass electrons into it, we found that also right around that electrode, it builds easy water. And if you put two electrodes in, which you need to do to pass the current, the negatively charged easy forms around the negative electrode. It's passing electrons into the water. And around the positive one, I don't often talk about this because it sort of complicates the matter, but it's true. An easy forms that has net positive charge. They're more unusual than the negative charge, but it does happen when you either pass positive current or take electrons out of the water. So it forms, it forms next to both electrodes. So anyway, you can get easy by passing electrons in negatively, the standard negatively charged easy by passing electrons in water. Another way is that the air-water interface, it forms naturally. Easy water forms there, forming a kind of barrier between the water and the air that exists beyond. Let me see.
Jerry, forgive me for interrupting, but you've just aroused the question.
Yep.
Is that one of the factors that plays a role in the creation of static tension on the surface of the water?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, water is known to have a high surface tension, and I think the reason for the high surface tension is that layer of water that sits on the top. It creates a kind of buoyancy. Yeah.
Is it possible that the water is picked right at that surface? Is it picking up perhaps more infrared energy right there than it would further down in the liquid?
Well, yeah, I mean, that is certainly possible and even likely because the infrared energy, it depends on the wavelength, but infrared energy doesn't usually penetrate very far into water. And so if you've got a lot of infrared energy at the surface, that's bound to contribute to the buildup of easy water. There's more to it than that. There are a lot of currents that are flowing up and down in the water. Sure. These are very well known, and they're thought to be thermal currents. I think they're more related to something related to easy, but that maybe is beyond what we want to talk about. It gets into some hairy details. Maybe we stick to the main thing, but yes, it builds there. There was another, trying to think of what it is that builds easy water. Certain substances build easy water. So this goes back to these substances. I'm talking about substances that have been used to promote health, dating back to even Ayurvedic times, like 5,000 years ago, when people were wiser, I think, than we are today. Yeah, I think they weren't killing one another as frequently as, well, whatever. So, take for example, turmeric. It's been known in the Ayurvedic tradition for many years that turmeric is good for health, and apparently it's good for all kinds of stuff that ails you. And so we started to think about that. Does turmeric possibly have 30 different modes of action with receptors on your kidney cells and your heart cells and et cetera, or is there only one mode of action that works all over the body, or a mode of action on a certain substance that exists all over your body? And we found that it is the latter. It's water, and that fulfills the prediction of Occam's razor, which means the simpler interpretation. So what we found, if we add turmeric to water, we get a bigger EZ, and it's not only turmeric, but other substances as well. Now, so we know, maybe I'm jumping a little ahead of myself, but all your cells are filled with this stuff. Gilbert Ling knew that, and St. Georgie knew that, and there's a good deal of evidence that the water inside your cells is not, it's not H2O, it's H3O2. It's the stuff that we're talking about. It's gel-like. So it means that if you were to cut yourself, I hope you don't, but if you do, it's not like cutting a pipe filled with water and the water comes pouring out. You may, under certain circumstances, bleed out, but the water from inside your body doesn't come rushing out. And so anyway, it is the easy water that fills your cells, and it's not trivial. In my 2001 book, Cells, Gels, and the Engines of Life, I spent half the book providing evidence that the water, we didn't call it easy water at the time, we said structured water, named after Gilbert Ling. It was central to everything the cell does. It doesn't matter which cell we're talking about, whether it's a muscle cell that contracts, a nerve cell that conducts, a secretory cell that secretes. They're all filled, those cells are filled with easy with structure, or easy water as we call it today, or fourth phase water. And that water is integral to the function of the cell. And if you don't have enough of it, your cell is either dysfunctional or pathological. It's not working properly. So it's necessary to fill your cells with easy water, with fourth phase water. So now that's a sort of digression, but to
not really a digression, Jerry, but I'm wondering, like, how long does this water stay in the easy state, and also how it's turned into easy water by the body? Does it require a tremendous amount of energy, or is it just minimal, or none?
Okay, one question at a time.
Okay.
Sorry, what was your first one again? I already forgot it.
Well, it was just how long
does it last? Okay, please then ask your second one. Okay, so the answer is we don't know. However, there are some hints that it can be long lasting. I'll tell you one of the hints. Years ago, at the time that we were eager to test various waters that people were sending to us, we don't do that anymore because everybody wants us to test their water, and that would be practically all we were able to do if we started testing commercial waters. And so it's sort of a blanket policy that we have, that we don't do it. We know some people who do it. We refer them, but there was one water that we tested, and this was a water. A guy called me, and I need to mention his name right here because he's now has a company that sells water, and he was telling me that this water can reverse irreversible kidney pathology. And when he called me to tell me that, I said to him, I don't believe you. But actually, I did believe him because I thought it might have such capability. And so he sent me the hospital records. And sure enough, this woman who had irreversible kidney pathology on dialysis, she started drinking the water. And anyway, the hospital records show it says irreversible kidney pathology. And then a month later, after she started drinking this water, no pathology. And the hospital record said, amazing recovery, we don't understand it. And I invited him to our the water conference that we organize each year, the annual conference on physics, chemistry, and biology of water. And by then, he had more people who had been apparently cured by this. It looked pretty amazing. And so I asked him to send me a sample. So he sent me a sample, and as busy as we are, it sat on my desk for 3 months. And then we tested it to see if it had easy water, because I thought, well, my goodness, if this thing has curative properties, there's a possibility that it's the EZ water that's inside. That, you know, if you drink it, it helps fill the cells in your body, and it makes you healthier. And so, after 3 months of sitting, we found indeed that it had substantial EZ water, and we can tell because we measure the absorption of light at different wavelengths, and it turns out that at 270 nanometers, if it absorbs, it's got EZ. The bigger the absorption peak, the more the EZ. So all we can say is that after 3 months, it had EZ. Whether it had more EZ water on day one or less EZ water on day one, I don't know, but it definitely had EZ water. You can also test spring waters. I know you guys know more about that than I do. And I know that some people who have done some measurements have found this 270 nanometer peak in many of the spring waters. So I don't have an exact answer to your question about how long does it persist, but it might be that it's a quasi-stable state that exists for as long as you've got energy that keeps coming in, infrared energy, which is all around us. It may be that it persists indefinitely. We don't know that. That's a speculation, but it doesn't disappear in milliseconds if that's what you're getting at. It's not just a laboratory curiosity that exists for a very short time.
That's a great answer.
Well, I do have a question.
Well, he had another one, but I'll take yours, Jim. Yeah.
Well, I don't expect, well, you mentioned the creation of sheets in the exclusion zone. First there's one, and then it creates more and so on. But if I remember right from reading some of the things that you've written, those sheets are slightly out of phase with each other.
Correct.
So when you look at them from one direction, you just see sheets in an organized pattern.
Yep.
But when you look at them from a 90-degree angle from the first direction, they're
the first direction? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're all off center from each other if you go around. Is that the result of the electromagnetic forces between the various molecules that compose the H3O2?
Yeah, exactly. So each sheet is made of hydrogens and oxygens, and oxygens are negative, hydrogens are positive, and so if you stack two sheets together in phase, they would repel each other because you'd have an oxygen next to an oxygen and a hydrogen next to a hydrogen, and they'd fly apart. However, if they're shifted by half of the unit cell dimension, then it sticks. And I think that's the reason why these sheets can stick and can pile up one after another.
Makes
sense.
sense.
Answer your question? Yeah.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, now Owen, there was a second part to your question. I already forgot it.
Well, the second part was, how much energy does it take for your body to make H3O2 when you consume H2O?
Okay, so good question.
And then if you're consuming H3O2, would that give you more energy?
I think so. Well, so now your question is two questions again. And so let me answer the first one, and then you can come back to the second one.
Okay.
So where do you get the energy for converting? You do drink water, I think, don't you?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it. I'm
H3O2.
glad, I hope all of you do. Yeah. So, and then you need energy to build it. You need infrared energy, or you need electrons. So let's take the main one, or I think it's the main one, infrared energy. It's all around. It's being absorbed in your body from outside. The brick wall is supplying plenty of infrared energy that you're absorbing. But there's more than that, because inside your body, you're metabolizing, and metabolism generates heat. And so at the core of your body, you've got a heater, a heat generator. And heat is essentially not exactly the same, but almost the same as infrared energy. So you've got the core of your body is sending out infrared energy, which is passing through all of your tissues. And so you got this energy coming from all over, outside and inside. And so I think that largely that's what's responsible. There's also, as I mentioned before, this water builds if you've got electrons coming, and there are various ways of getting electrons into your body, some of which I know you know about. And one is earthing or grounding, right? So if you can connect yourself electrically to the earth. So most people are not aware that the earth is negatively charged. And I got to tell you, this came as, if you pardon the expression, the charge came as a shock to me. Yeah, right. Thank you for my humor. It came as a shock. I was standing in the laboratory, and there was this Russian guy who had been working there for 6 months, and he was just about to return that evening to Russia. And he starts telling me about the negative charge of the Earth and the Earth's electric field. And I said, Andre, what are you talking about? You must mean the magnetic field, right? And he said, no, I'm talking about the electric field. Don't you know about it? I said, Andre, I started my career studying electrical engineering. And no professor ever told me that if you stick the 3 prongs, the ground prong into the receptacle, that you're connecting to a vast sea of negativity. Everybody knew that it was neutral. I said, you must be on some kind of drug or something like that. He said, no, I'm not on some kind of drug. He said, not at all. He said, but something must have gone awry with the educational system in the US, because in Russia, every middle school student knows that the Earth is negatively charged. And here in the US, nobody ever heard of such a thing. So